I'm Allendale Chief Meteorologist Ryan Martin with a look at your midday weather update. As we take a look at action on the surface analysis at midday, thunderstorms working across parts of Iowa and into western Missouri. The western Missouri part of this is the one that's a little surprising. We were looking at this system to mostly do its work over Iowa, southern Minnesota, into Wisconsin, maybe grazing northern parts of Illinois. There is a southern leg of this. It looks like the southern leg is losing some of its strength, but it also is not moving exceptionally fast, so it still will have the ability to put down some decent rains over western parts of Missouri as we go on through the mid to late afternoon hours and on into this evening. Also, this moisture is moving into Iowa just a little bit sooner, about 6 to 8, 10 hours sooner than had been looked for. So does this mean that we've got any chance at this moisture holding together and hitting maybe a bigger part of the Corn Belt? At this point, I hesitate to say that, although I will say that the southern extent of this moisture might make it a little more helpful to get action into parts of Illinois. I still don't think we see anything across Indiana and Ohio, but maybe we get some of this to hold on into Illinois. The next few hours will be something that tells us whether we can or can't. Right now, the action is being fueled by nice warm air surging northward into an otherwise cool air mass. We have just gotten done with the coolest air of the season here moving across the Corn Belt, and now we're injecting big warm air surges back into it. The thing is, once the sun goes down, you lose that heating differential. So action that moves across Illinois as we go into the sundown period will probably lose its intensity very quickly. So I'm still not looking for an exceptional amount of coverage there. So it all comes down to the next few hours. Now, as we go forward, we're still not looking at any significant increases in moisture for the intermediate and extended forecast period. I think a good chunk of the Corn Belt probably goes all the way into the Labor Day weekend before we see our next round of precipitation. That round is not exceptionally exciting, but it still can give us maybe a quarter to 1 inch as we go from the 6th through the 8th. We're going to basically lump this together into one system. We had been looking at two. Now I think one good, decent front comes through, and it'll have the effect of actually moistening up our atmospheric profile a little bit so that a system that comes through the 11th into the 12th has a better chance at putting down scattered showers and thunderstorms. So that's kind of what we're looking at here overall. The pattern not changing. Watch very, very closely what's happening currently coming out of the western plains, or rather eastern plains, and moving into the western Corn Belt. The other thing we need to throw out, we've got Erica continuing to churn through parts of the Caribbean, made through the Leeward Islands earlier today. Most models now are continuing to push this thing toward the tip of Florida, southern tip of Florida. There is a front, a stationary front that's kind of in play across Florida and back into the Gulf. That may act as a fence, keeping the storm from going into the Gulf. However, we also have a fairly strong high over the Atlantic that's going to try and nudge this thing west as well. Currently, we're still seeing the storm try and curve, so if it hits the southern tip of Florida, it may continue its curve and then come up the southeast coast. One thing I'm going to continue to watch and see if it wants to cross the southern tip of the Florida Peninsula, making it into the Gulf. That fence right now, the stationary front, should hold, but if that front degrades here over the next few days, may be able to see this thing poke farther west. We'll see. A lot of uncertainty, except for the fact that I really think Florida is probably going to get a little bit of a storm effect. Good news is, doesn't look like Erica is going to turn into a monster hurricane. Category 1, maybe low-level Category 2. She still hasn't reached hurricane status just yet. That's the way things are stacking up here at Midday. Have a great rest of your day. If you got any questions on the weather, give us a call at Allendale. I'm Chief Meteorologist Ryan Martin.